I had just lost my husband Zachary. My in-laws felt sorry for me, especially since I was pregnant. They suggested that Zachary's twin brother Ethan should take care of both families without explicitly marriage to both women. Ethan's wife Sophia called me shameless and fainted from anger. That night, I went to my in-laws' door. I wanted to persuade them to give up this idea. My in-laws, out of pity or desperation, suggested something unthinkable. That Ethan, Zachary's twin brother, should take care of both families. Not officially, of course, but as some kind of twisted responsibility. Ethan's wife, Sophia, called me shameless and fainted from rage. That night, I gathered my strength and went to my in-laws' room. I wanted to ask them to stop pushing this ridiculous idea. But as I approached the door, I heard voices from inside. My mother-in-law asked in confusion, "Zachary, it was clearly your brother who died. Why do you insist it was you?" My blood froze. Then I heard his voice. Calm. Heavy. "Mom, Sophia is fragile. If she knew my brother had died, she wouldn't survive it. And the one I've always loved is her. I only married Rachel, so my brother could be with Sophia. Now that I've given Rachel a child, I owe her nothing. From now on, I'll take care of Sophia in his place. Don't bring up this taking care of both families again. It'll only upset her." I couldn't breathe. The man I thought had died wasn't Zachary. It was Ethan. And the man I'd mourned, carried in my heart, cried for every night, he was alive. Alive and pretending to be someone else. My husband. My love. A lie. I stumbled back to my room, trembling. My face soaked with tears. Everything was a deception. The gentle care, the quiet strength, the years we spent together, all fake. A performance. The next morning, I came downstairs with swollen eyes and a pale face. And there he was, Zachary, sweetly serving Sophia breakfast. She looked like she belonged in his arms. Smiling. Triumphant. And when she saw me, she snuggled even closer, like she'd won. I said nothing. I sat at the table, touched my belly, and quietly started eating. Nutritious food. Fuel. Not for the baby. For me. I had made up my mind. I would terminate this pregnancy, take back my life, and make them pay for every lie, every wound, every tear. After I finished eating, Zachary finally looked up, startled by my appearance. For a moment, guilt flickered across his face. But it vanished quickly. "Sister-in-law," he said coldly, "I won't take care of both families. My heart belongs only to Sophia. There's no room for anyone else." Sophia jumped in, feigning remorse. "I'm sorry for what happened yesterday. I was just too emotional. But I love my husband too much. I can't share him." Her weak body trembled, and she leaned into Zachary like she might break. He held her close. "Don't worry, Sophia. I'd rather die than touch another woman." I almost laughed. Then where did this child in my belly come from? I looked at them both, calm and cold. "Don't worry. I agree with you. The idea of taking care of both families is ridiculous. I wouldn't accept it either." They froze. Surprised. Relieved. But they had no idea what I had really decided. My in-laws came down, having heard everything. My mother-in-law looked at me with concern, but I could barely feel anything anymore. "Rachel," she said gently, "Zachary is gone. You're still alive. Don't hold on to the past. Move on. Start over." Zachary played his part again. "Mom's right," he said smoothly. "Zachary's gone. You need to let him go. For the child. Be strong. Move forward. For the child." I wanted to scream, but instead I smiled faintly and nodded. "You're right. I thought about it all night. And I've made up my mind." That night, I looked at myself in the mirror. The bruises in my heart ran deeper than any mark on my skin. But I was done crying. Done begging. They thought I was weak, but they forgot. I've already survived the worst. Now it's my turn. They destroyed my past. But I'll reclaim my future. And I won't show mercy. Before, I was indeed stuck in a rut, making you all worry. Moreover, since Zachary was born with weak sperm, and this pregnancy is so difficult, it must be heaven's will, destining him to have no descendants in this life. So, I want to follow heaven's will and listen to your advice. Terminate this pregnancy, let him go completely, remarry and start a new life. After saying this, I touched my belly and thought, after all, for such a scumbag like Zachary, having no children is the least he deserves. I'm even afraid that if I give birth to his child, it might be born without certain body parts. So for my sake and for the child's future, I can't give birth to it. Looking up, I saw that everyone present was stunned after hearing my words. My in-laws looked anxious for a moment. Zachary's face was even more distorted. After all, hearing me say that I wanted to terminate his child, and saying it was heaven's will for him to have no descendants. He couldn't possibly be happy about it. He stood up abruptly, instinctively shouting angrily, "Who persuaded you to terminate the child?" However, after saying this, he quickly realized that his emotion was too intense. He took a deep breath, trying hard to control his emotions. But his expression was still not good. A moment later, he couldn't help but frown, his tone full of reproach. Sister-in-law, Zachary has just passed away, and you already want to terminate his child and remarry someone else. Isn't that a bit inappropriate? After all, this is the only blood he left in this world. Moreover, he was so good to you back then. What you're doing now is a bit too cruel. I blinked my eyes, looking at my in-laws innocently. Weren't you always persuading me to let go of Zachary and terminate this pregnancy? My in-laws' faces became somewhat embarrassed. Their expressions didn't look good either. After all, no one wants to hear that their son is destined to have no descendants. They quickly composed themselves, all looking at me with disapproving gazes. My mother-in-law sighed. Rachel, Mom knows this pregnancy is painful for you, and we've always been worried about your health. Before, we wanted to persuade you to let go of Zachary and terminate the pregnancy. But you love this child so much, Mom really doesn't want you to have regrets in the future. My father-in-law also agreed. Yes, Rachel. Have you really thought it through about terminating this pregnancy? Before, when we tried to persuade you, you were so resistant, saying this was Zachary's only bloodline, and you wouldn't agree no matter what. Can you really bear to terminate it? You must not make a decision on impulse. Of course, we support your choice, we just don't want you to regret it in the future. As for remarrying, of course we hope you can meet a good person in the future. But are you really able to let go of Zachary now? I hope you can express your sadness if you're feeling down. Don't suppress your pain just to put our minds at ease, pretending to have let him go. Listening to their words, I felt indescribable emotions. It seems that not only Zachary but also my in-laws all wanted to keep this child. When they persuaded me to terminate the pregnancy before, it was only because they thought I only had Zachary in my heart and would definitely not agree. They were just saying some polite words to persuade me. However, I quickly let it go. After all, to the Shaw family, I was always an outsider. I'm tired, I'll go rest first. I nodded, not bothering to argue with them anymore. I turned and went upstairs. This child, I definitely won't give birth to it. But they're so resistant, they probably won't allow me to terminate it easily. It seems I need to find an opportunity to leave the Shaw family quickly. As for revenge on Zachary, I'll take it slowly. That night, I went to the living room to get some water. Again, I overheard a conversation between my in-laws and Zachary. Mom, we absolutely can't let Rachel terminate the pregnancy. It was Zachary's voice. I paused my steps, then heard him continue. I was born with weak sperm, and Sophia's body is not good either. She can't bear the pain of pregnancy. Now that my brother is gone, this might be the only child I'll have in this life. If she terminates this pregnancy, won't our Shaw family really have no descendants? Since she's unwilling to raise it, we can give it to Sophia to raise after it's born. Sophia has always wanted a child, but due to her health, she hasn't been able to conceive. She's gentle and kind. If we give her the child to raise, she'll definitely treat it wholeheartedly. My mother-in-law sighed, her voice full of worry. I don't want our Shaw family to have no descendants either. But Rachel not only wants to terminate the pregnancy, she also wants to remarry. You know, the development of our company relies on her father's help. If she insists, we really can't stop her. As soon as she finished speaking, my father-in-law said reproachfully, if Rachel terminates the pregnancy and remarries, she'll have nothing to do with our Shaw family in the future, and the Young family won't help us anymore. I've been saying, you should take care of both families. This way we could not only keep Rachel, but also keep the child. But you refused. Look at the mess we're in now. What should we do? Hearing this, Zachary didn't seem anxious. Instead, he sneered and said confidently, all right, do you think she really means it when she says she wants to terminate the pregnancy and remarry someone else? She loves me so much. If it weren't for this child, she would have committed suicide long ago. This child is her spiritual support. How could she bear to terminate it? As for remarrying, she's just saying it out of spite. How could there be anyone else in her heart besides me? Don't worry, she definitely won't remarry, and she'll definitely give birth to the child. She'll be part of our Shaw family for life. Listening to Zachary's confident words, I couldn't help but laugh coldly in my heart. TSK, what they say on the internet is really true. Men are indeed ordinary yet confident creatures. My mother-in-law paused, seeming to be convinced by Zachary. Her behavior today was indeed too abnormal. It does seem like she's just acting out of spite. Zachary said very confidently, when you proposed the idea of taking care of both families before, Sophia hit her. She's been spoiled since childhood. It's normal for her to be angry. Moreover, although she believes the person who died was my brother. But she loves me so much, seeing my face in person, she must still have feelings. It's inevitable that she would subconsciously treat the current big brother as me. This morning, she probably saw me being affectionate with Sophia and felt upset. Plus being hit yesterday, that's why she's deliberately saying these things out of spite. She's already having a hard time accepting that I'm dead. In her eyes, if Big Brother could take care of both families, she could treat Big Brother as my substitute, numb herself, and continue living, which would be good. Making such a fuss is just to threaten me into agreeing to take care of both families. Hearing this, my mother-in-law complained dissatisfied. Rachel is really, if she wants something, she should just say it directly. Your father and I treat her like our own daughter. We would try our best to accommodate her wishes. Why does she have to say these spiteful words to deliberately hurt us? And you, I've been telling you to take care of both families, to take more care of her. Hearing this, Zachary's tone became somewhat irritated. He interrupted. All right, I get it. Rachel is really troublesome. Tomorrow, you can bring up the idea of taking care of both families to her again. This time I'll agree, just for the sake of this child. I'll compromise one more time. Early the next morning, during breakfast, my father-in-law indeed brought up the idea of taking care of both families again. Rachel, eat more. Why do you look even thinner? He sighed. It seems this child is really taking a toll on you. Dad thinks it's better to let Ethan take care of both families, to look after you better. My mother-in-law also nodded and persuaded. You are Zachary's wife and Ethan, as the eldest son of our Shaw family. As Zachary's older brother, he should shoulder the family's responsibilities. It's only right for him to take care of you. You don't need to feel uncomfortable about it. I don't know what Zachary said to Sophia last night. This time she didn't voice any objections. She just looked unhappy, clenching her fists tightly, staring at me with some jealousy and hatred. I raised my eyes to look at Zachary. Zachary's face was full of impatience, his tone not good. Huh, didn't you propose to terminate the pregnancy yesterday just to make me agree to take care of both families? Fine, for the sake of Zachary's child, Sophia and I will compromise a bit and agree to your request. Finally, he added, somewhat displeased. After I take care of both families, don't throw any more tantrums in the future, saying things like terminating the pregnancy and such, hurting us and this child's feelings again. Listening to his words, I almost laughed out of anger. He's done so many heartless things. And he still wants a child. May you have no descendants. Originally, I had some genuine feelings and reluctance towards my in-laws. But after hearing their conversation last night, I completely lost any feelings for this family. They were good to me only because of my father. To them, I was just an outsider they could use. This is good too. I won't have any misgivings in the future. I shook my head and said coldly, there's no need for the idea of taking care of both families. Big brother and sister-in-law should just live their own lives. As for my child, you don't need to worry about it. Early this morning, I had already called my dad, asking the driver to come pick me up. The person hasn't arrived yet, and except for me, everyone here is from the Shaw family. It's not advantageous for me, so I'd better not make things too difficult for now. So I tried to speak calmly to my in-laws. My dad is always worried that I'm too sad and might do something stupid. He said he wants to take me back to stay for a few days. My in-laws still wanted to stop me. But not long after I finished speaking, my dad came personally with the driver. They quickly smiled and sent me out. Seeing my haggard and thin appearance, my dad, a big tough man, reddened his eyes with distress. Naturally, he didn't have a good attitude towards the Shaw family. He glared at them with a black face, not bothering with the Shaw family at all, and just took me away. My in-laws looked at me with embarrassed expressions, while Zachary glared at me with a gloomy face, looking like he had been humiliated. In the past, I couldn't bear to let my in-laws and Zachary be embarrassed, so even if my dad was unhappy, I would coax him to have a better attitude. But now, I don't want to bother with this family anymore, so I just got in the car directly. After the car drove out of the Shaw house, I started to use soft words to coax my dad. My dad doesn't know about Zachary hurting me. He just thinks I've gotten thinner and more haggard because the Shaw family didn't take good care of me. That's why he's angry at them. My dad has always been very protective of me. I lost my mother when I was young, and he never remarried. He raised me like both a father and a mother, spoiling me to no end. People who know him say he loved my mom deeply, and after she died in childbirth, he almost couldn't go on living. It was I who gave him hope to live on. From then on, he put all his attention on me. Back when Zachary died, I was thinking that my dad and I might both be unlucky people, experiencing the pain of losing loved ones. I wanted to emulate my dad, treating the child as hope to live on, and raise it with all my love. But I never thought. My parents had true love. While I was just a joke. I met Ethan and Zachary when I was in kindergarten. I remember when I was very young, I liked to follow Ethan around. My dad saw that I liked him, and decisively approached the Shaw family, arranging an engagement between me and Ethan. Then he started to support the Shaw family, helping the Shaw family, who had just entered the middle class, to gradually start a business and establish a listed company. Later, my marriage partner changed to Zachary, and I was abused by someone. He was afraid the Shaw family would look down on me. To make sure I could live better, he helped the Shaw family even more. Until now, the Shaw family has tasted the sweetness. No wonder they're unwilling to let go, using me for so many years, and even hurting me so badly. I will make them pay it all back, with interest. I had already contacted a private investigator yesterday, monitoring the Shaw family 24 hours a day. After I left, Zachary, who rarely lost his temper in front of my dad, angrily kicked over the table, shouting furiously. Rachel did it on purpose. Deliberately calling her dad over to put us in our place. I've already agreed to take care of both families. Why is she still doing this? My mother-in-law sighed and advised. Rachel has been spoiled since childhood. It must be because your tone wasn't good. You were reluctant, and Sophia even dared to hit her. It made her unhappy, so she called Mr. Foster over. It's good for her to stay there for a few days. The medical facilities are better at Mr. Foster's place. It's better for the pregnancy. With Rachel staying there, the child is safer. We'll go pick her up in a few days. When the time comes, you speak more gently and bring up the idea of taking care of both families again. When her anger subsides and she sees our sincere attitude, she'll come back. Zachary snorted coldly. Causing so much trouble, threatening us, isn't it just to make me willingly beg her to let me take care of both families? Fine, for the sake of the Shaw family, for the child, I'll compromise once more. My father-in-law also frowned. This Rachel is indeed too spoiled. A little unhappiness, and she makes the whole family lose face. No wonder Ethan and Zachary don't like her. Fortunately, she loves Zachary deeply and is willing to compromise for Zachary. Otherwise, our Shaw family really wouldn't be able to control her. Zachary sneered. Who wants her to like me? Sophia is 100 times better than her. Let's wait for another month or so before going over. When she's anxious from waiting, she won't put on airs anymore, and she'll agree readily then. Hearing this, my in-laws all nodded in agreement. I watched the video of their family secretly recorded by the private investigator. I couldn't help but laugh coldly again and again. Still thinking about me giving birth to a child for their Shaw family? That day, I told my dad that I wanted to terminate the pregnancy. My dad knew how painful this pregnancy was for me. He was already distressed beyond measure. When he heard I wanted to terminate the pregnancy, he naturally agreed 1,000 times over. He immediately started arranging for the most experienced doctor to perform the surgery for me. I also told my dad not to protect the Shaw family anymore, and that there was no need to provide them with any more conveniences. Of course, I didn't tell my dad about Zachary arranging for someone to kidnap and abuse me back then. Otherwise, with my dad's temper and protective nature, he would definitely want to flay Zachary alive. It's not worth letting my dad take such a big risk for a scumbag like Zachary. I will use other methods to make Zachary pay the price. After the abortion, I rested for a month to recover. I no longer had to vomit or get injections. My body got better and better, and I gained quite a bit of weight. These days, seeing my physical condition improving, my dad was overjoyed. He also heard that I had completely let go of Zachary, so he excitedly started arranging blind dates for me. He said he wanted to find an obedient and handsome man to marry into our family for me to play with. I was a bit helpless. I didn't want to find another man, but I couldn't persuade my dad otherwise. The news had already spread. Every day, countless men came to our house, lining up to interview for marrying into our family. After a month, without the support of the young family, the Shaw family was in a mess. They finally couldn't bear it anymore and came to find me with Zachary. When they arrived at the villa gate, they ran into the group of men lining up to interview for marrying into our family. Zachary looked at the crowd at the door in confusion and frowned. What are all these people doing here? What a mess. He wanted to walk forward, but the crowd of men blocked the entrance, and he couldn't get through. He tried to push through the crowd, but a man impatiently grabbed him. Hey, are you also here to marry into Miss Young's family? You have to queue up. We have rules here, no one can cut in line, no matter who they are. My in-laws and Zachary were stunned. Zachary asked in disbelief. Marry into the family? Which Miss Young? The man looked at Zachary as if he was an idiot. Which Miss Young? Doesn't Mr. Foster only have one daughter? Of course, it's Amelia Foster. I heard her husband passed away a while ago. Miss Young is such a good girl. Now that she's single, of course there are plenty of men who want to marry into her family. Look, all those in front are here for that. As he spoke, he pointed to the over 100 people queuing in front. Zachary's expression was like he had eaten something rotten. He said in disbelief, Are you all crazy? Amelia Foster is still carrying her late husband's child. Her heart only has her late husband. She won't possibly find another man. You all should leave quickly. Hearing this, the man said, Hey, you don't understand. Miss Young's child has already been terminated, and Mr. Foster has already announced that Miss Young has let go of her dead husband and wants to remarry. Now everyone has a chance. Terminated the child? Zachary and his parents exclaimed in unison. Their expressions all became extremely ugly. Zachary then laughed coldly. Impossible. She valued her late husband and child more than her own life. There's no way she would let go of him and terminate the child. As for you all, Zachary looked at these people with disdain. Let's not mention that she was previously violated by kidnappers and is already damaged goods. Now she was even carrying another man's child and still thinking of another man. You're all rushing to marry into her family. Are you addicted to being cuckolds? As soon as he said this, all the queuing men's expressions turned ugly. One man angrily said. How dare you talk like that? Miss Young was a victim back then. How can you call her damaged goods? I heard that after she married into the Shaw family, she was filial to her in-laws and considerate to her husband. She's a rare good woman. How dare you slander her like this? That's right, brothers, let's teach him a lesson. Later, Zachary was beaten up by the crowd. In the end, he had to reluctantly queue up. They didn't dare to leave halfway, afraid that they would have to queue up again if they came back. I heard that by the time it was his turn, it was already the third day. He and his parents hadn't slept for 3 days and nights before they finally entered my family's villa. As soon as they saw me, my mother-in-law started complaining with red eyes. Rachel, those people outside are all thugs. Look how they beat up Ethan. Your father is really. You're still carrying our family's child. Even if he cares about you, he shouldn't arrange for people to marry into the family without your consent. It's really unreasonable. This time you must talk to him properly and tell him not to be so willful in the future. Zachary stood coldly to the side and snorted. We've come to take you back. After all, you're Zachary's wife. It's not right for you to stay at your parents' home for so long. Also, I'm willing to take care of both families, to look after you and the child, and treat the child as my own. I'll treat you as my wife, but remember, Sophia will always be the first wife. I couldn't help but laugh angrily. First wife, second wife. How many years has it been since the founding of the country? He's still dreaming here. My mother-in-law looked me up and down and also smiled. The doctors at Mr. Foster's place are indeed good. In just over a month, you look much healthier. When we leave, let's bring those doctors back to take care of you. But I still have to say something about those people outside. They're really outrageous. They even said you terminated the child. Isn't that cursing people? It's really wicked. Hearing this, I finally broke my silence and said, what they said is correct. I did terminate the pregnancy. I've already let go of Zachary and am ready to start a new life. After I said this, Zachary and the others' expressions completely changed. What did you say? Zachary asked urgently. My mother-in-law also quickly said, Rachel, don't joke about this. I looked at them coldly and said calmly, now that I've terminated the pregnancy and Zachary is dead, I have no connection with the Shaw family anymore. I won't go back with you. You should leave and don't come back in the future. After saying this, I called security to escort them out. Zachary's face changed. He stared at me in disbelief, his expression ugly. Have you gone crazy? You're actually kicking us out? I've already agreed to take care of both families. What more do you want? All right, you've made your point. But there's a limit to playing hard to get. If you refuse this time, I won't come again in the future. Don't regret it then. My mother-in-law also laughed awkwardly. I see you've gained weight. How could the child be gone? You must be joking, right? Are you still angry about what happened before and trying to scare us? Rachel, Mom has to scold you now. You're too willful, always hurting our family's feelings. I couldn't be bothered to deal with them anymore, so I directly threw the abortion report at them. Then I had the bodyguards drive them out. I heard that after they were driven out. Looking at the report, knowing that I had indeed terminated their Shaw family's only bloodline, they all went crazy. They forgot for a moment that they still relied on my dad for a living. They started shouting and cursing outside, calling me shameless for killing their Shaw family's child. They cursed that I would surely be punished. The people queuing outside finally realized that they were from the Shaw family. Now hearing them curse me, and remembering that Zachary had called me damaged goods before, they all wanted to show off in front of me. They rushed up and beat them again, quite severely this time. I heard that in the end, they were lying on the ground, unable to even curse anymore. When my dad learned that the Shaw family had come and repeatedly slandered me, he was furious. He no longer showed any mercy to the Shaw family and started targeting them directly. At first, after Zachary and the others went back, they were still talking tough, saying that I had terminated the child and they wouldn't forgive me. Unless I got pregnant with another Shaw family child, they wouldn't agree to let me go back or allow me to pay respects at Zachary's grave. Otherwise, I would never be able to visit Zachary's grave in this lifetime. But within a month, the Shaw family went bankrupt under my dad's targeting. The Shaw family lost everything. Even their only villa was taken away. In the end, they could only end up on the streets. As for Sophia, when she married Ethan back then, it was because she saw that he was the eldest son of the Shaw family and could inherit the family business, so she could live a good life with him. Later, when Ethan died, she also realized that Zachary was pretending to be Ethan. But she didn't care, as long as whoever could inherit the Shaw family was her husband. Now that the Shaw family had no money, of course she wouldn't accompany them through hard times. Soon after, she became the mistress of a rich businessman, abandoning them. Zachary went crazy with anger, cursing Sophia as a whore, wanting to hit her. As a result, he was beaten half to death by the rich businessman's bodyguards. Mr. and Mrs. Shaw blamed him, saying that if it wasn't for him insisting on pretending to be Ethan back then, they wouldn't have ended up like this. He had ruined the entire Shaw family. Zachary, however, seemed to have grasped a lifeline. He earnestly told Mr. and Mrs. Shaw that I loved him so much if I knew he was still alive, I definitely wouldn't remarry. I wouldn't abandon their Shaw family still had hope. Then, he excitedly came to my house gate, shouting that he was Noah Parker, not Liam Parker. The person who died back then was his brother. He had lost his memory, so he thought he was Liam Parker. He said he remembered everything now, the person he loved was me, and he begged to see me. He also said that even though the child was gone, we could have another one. He had already forgiven me for terminating the pregnancy. As it happened, I had already collected evidence of Zachary arranging for someone to kidnap and hurt me back then. Uncle Cop came directly to my house gate and arrested him. Before leaving, he was still angrily struggling. "Let go of me. Do you know who my wife is? It's Amelia Foster. If you dare to arrest me, she won't let you off." I finally walked out leisurely and whispered in his ear, "Noah Parker, I've known it was you all along. You look like a real clown now. Oh, by the way, it's time for you to pay for what you had those kidnappers do to me back then." Zachary's eyes widened bit by bit as he looked at me in disbelief. You knew everything. Why I had been acting so abnormally. He understood it all now. He stopped struggling and fell to the ground, his face ashen. But soon he crawled up again, hugging my legs and begging for forgiveness, saying he did all this because he loved me. I laughed coldly, had someone pull him away, and turned back into the villa. Epilogue. Such a selfish man as Zachary would never look for reasons in himself. Now that he had fallen to such a state, he would only think it was Sophia's fault. So the day after he was arrested, he escaped. He didn't go anywhere else but found Sophia. He went crazy and stabbed Sophia to death. When my dad found out that the person who hurt me back then was Zachary, he flew into a rage. He wanted to break into the prison and tear Zachary to pieces, and was angry that I hadn't told him before. I smiled and stopped him, saying, "Dad, he's not worth you getting your hands dirty." Then I whispered a few words in his ear. He burst out laughing, finally giving up the idea of taking action himself. Under my dad's maneuvering, Zachary's death sentence was changed to life imprisonment. After all, letting him die so easily would be too good for him. Then, following my suggestion, he found several very special cellmates for Zachary. One who liked men, one who liked to play BDSM games, and one with violent tendencies who liked to abuse others. My dad gave money to their families, asking them to tell their family members to take good care of Zachary when they visited, to ensure that he would have a very exciting life in there for the rest of his days. Later, I never married. Instead, I started working in my dad's company, learning business from him. My dad often patted my shoulder approvingly and said, "Daughter, I feel more at ease handing over my business empire to you yourself. Men can't be relied upon. Fortunately, you have this talent." Although he said this, he was still afraid I would be lonely, always thinking of finding someone to marry into our family as a diversion for me. The men lining up for interviews stretched from our home to the company. But I refused them all. Later, my dad stopped being obsessed with finding someone to marry into our family, and instead found many male models who were good at pleasing people to entertain me. He said these men were all very clean, all medically checked. He would change a batch every few days. No emotional attachment, just good at making people happy. Male models who only required money. I tried hard to suppress the pain in my heart. When I was 32 years old, I suddenly had the idea of having a child. So I went to a sperm bank and chose one. After 10 months of pregnancy, I gave birth to a daughter who belonged only to me. She looked very much like me when I was little. Seeing that I had taken over the company, my dad simply retired to take care of the baby at home. With his doting, the little girl became an unstoppable little devil. I was always very troubled, wanting to persuade my dad not to spoil the child so much. He wouldn't listen, saying, "I spoiled you so much, and you still suffered when I wasn't paying attention. My dear granddaughter needs to be even more pampered, so she will never suffer in the future." When my daughter was 2 years old, one night when she was half asleep, nestled in my arms, she said, "Mommy, I actually met you a long, long time ago." I asked amusedly, "How long ago was that?" She said softly, "I don't remember clearly. I only remember Mommy saying she was afraid of giving birth to me without a butthole, so she told me to come find you again in a few years." "Mommy, what does without a butthole mean?" She blinked her innocent eyes and looked up at me. I smiled awkwardly. "Go to sleep, little kids shouldn't ask so many questions."